Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
What's up, and welcome to episode 39 of Common Sense Superhero. We almost reached the magic number of 40, which is the big number in my life that I love. And as you can see, Greg is on vacay once again. Once again, he's life at the beach, living his best life. Greg, number 39. I'll throw one out real quick before you get to bragging about where you at.
Who you got?
Larry Zonka.
Ooh,
Who
the Z-
remembers good old Larry Zonka? My man
that
for the
that's
Dolphins,
part of the last undefeated team, right?
beast of a running back. I don't know, fullback or running back, whatever he was, but I think of Larry Zonka. I think of American Gladiators because that's where I think I first saw him coming up at. I was like, who was that guy? And then having to watch all the old NFL films shows about the 72 Dolphins, then I realized Larry Zonka would hit you, son. That one bar would come across and knock you out.
That's back when football was football. The number 39, dude. As soon as you pop that out, I go, man, I can't think of a number 39. But when I do think of 39, all I can think of is the fact that I'm about to celebrate my 9th anniversary of turning 39 because I ain't getting no older than that. So
Oh, they're just gonna stick with that.
yeah, I'm gonna take the feminine approach, and I'm just gonna turn 39 for the rest of my life because that was a whole lot better than what
39
48 sounds terrible.
over
And then
and over.
the American Gladiators thing, man, I never realized it at the time, and I don't think I even put it together until you just brought it up now. That show was so far ahead of its time because you think
Loved
about
it.
all the all the stuff that has spun off to kind of that reality TV, that competition type brand. Like that show was so far ahead of its time. It was 30 years in advance.
Going back to my love of documentaries, I did watch a documentary on American Gladiators. I forget the name of it, but it was good, and it talked about how they pretty much ripped off the people at first. They the people that were like Nitro and all them, paid them pennies on the dollar, peanuts basically. One guy got super wealthy while they were just doing scraps for the most part. They just went and got some muscle heads out of the gym, said, "Hey, we'll pay you $500 or something like that to do this." And they're like, "Okay," not knowing they're gonna get action figures named after them, all that stuff, and just generate millions upon millions of dollars. And they got pretty much nothing.
Well, living in today's world, that sounds like such a tragedy, but I'll put a positive spin on it. It's just because life was so much simpler back then that nobody had the forethought to think about all that stuff. And look, I mean, I've spent a little bit of time in the gym and I've been a little bit broke at times. There've been plenty of times that somebody go, "Hey, I got an athletic thing that I want you to go do for $500 a day." All right, let's give it a shot. Um,
100%
but I mean,
agree.
that was before all the NIL and trademarks and licensing and all the stuff. And nobody would have had any clue how big that show was going to be. But it was just such a simpler time back then that you just didn't think about all the legal stuff because we weren't quite as litigious.
No, definitely not. And also, at the beginning, they brought out like real athletes. They're like, okay, we're going to challenge these guys. And a lot of the gladiators getting beat because they brought out they didn't think about, oh crap, we got some real athletes coming out here. So they were the first few episodes of this first season, you had gladiators getting beat and manhandled because they were like, okay, we're going to get the best of the best and line it up. That's not entertaining to see the American Gladiators get dominated like that. So they went and got some old regular old fat dads like me, just normal, somewhat out of shape guys. And that way they make the Gladiators look even bigger. But at first, they messed around and got some real athletes, and they had to change that real quick.
Well, and I think the cool thing is going back to, try to give that show some props for being so far ahead of its time. If you think back to like a lot of those events were not only were they very unique in the way they structured them and set them up as far as the competitiveness of them, but they were pretty fair. It wasn't some janky, like you see a bunch of stuff now that you just go, man, there's no way anybody has a shot at that. Like it's a bunch of gimmicky stuff. But most, from what I remember, like the core set of events was a legitimate test of like just physical athleticism, speed, strength, agility, balance, and things of that nature. I go back, I might have to start watching some reruns of that show. Now that I start thinking about it, that show was way ahead of its time. And man, back in the mid '80s, I was a huge American Gladiators fan.
I want to say they thought about bringing it back here recently, and I'm talking in the last few months. I almost feel like I saw it. It may be buried on one of those streamers that we don't ever think of, but I do remember when they brought it back with Layla Ali and Hulk Hogan, I think even did the announcing or whatever one at one point. I always enjoyed it. It lose its luster as it came out with the recreations of it and all that, but I'll give it a shot again today. I mean, heck, why not?
Yeah, my only hesitation if they tried to redo it would just be in the day of social media and all the just I don't know that it would have the sense of purity because everybody would be, I mean again those were like you said they picked up a couple of meatheads from the gym and they got some good athletes off the street and said y'all go figure out who's a better athlete.
Yeah.
Now everybody be so trying to make an image for themselves, make a name for themselves. I don't think there'd be any way to do it legitimately the way it was back in the day, where it was just a straight up fair mono and mono. Because if you were gonna be one of the gladiators now, just to protect yourself, you would almost have to make sure that you put some things in there for you to have an advantage, to where you can build up a record and be dominant, so you can build your image and build your brand and get the marketing deals. I don't think anybody would just roll off the street and do it on national TV these days.
No, probably not. Let's get
But me,
into it.
I would.
Yeah. Greg, I give him a hard time about being on vacation continuously because, heck, it seems like that's the case. But I will say his wife does work a lot. So while he's on vacation, his wife is actually going out and working. So he is once again on location at a beach area somewhere. Haley, I think, got a pretty good district because she seems to go to a lot of beach places. So tell us where you're at, Gregory.
I'm actually staying we're in Destin, Florida, or a little outside of Destin, staying at a place called Hotel Effie. We found this place a few years ago. I hate to admit it, we were Googling rooftop bars, and they got a rooftop pool and bar that's a fantastic setup. And we'll give everybody
A little sneak peek there. Nice.
not a bad gig. I got to give a shout out and say thanks to my beautiful bride. I have clearly outkicked my coverage in so many areas. She is physically more attractive than me. She makes more money than me. She damn sure more committed and works harder than me, more dedicated. I recently lost my laundry folding duties. Like I'm not even the laundry guy in the house anymore. I don't know what I bring to the table.
Well, it's a great podcast host. I'll give you that.
Hey,
He knows
speaking
his
of, like,
stuff.
I've got a marital debate to settle. So
Okay.
we recently, I say my wife recently, and this is God's honest truth, David. For the entirety of our marriage, I have been the laundry dude. Like I do all the laundry in the house. I wash,
Familiar.
I dry, I put everything away because she works all the
Familiar.
time, and I work from home most of the time, so I do the laundry, stay on top of it. Well, we've had the same washer and dryer for damn near a decade. They've been through 3 or 4 relocations, and they're wobbling all over the place.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. So we say, let's give these away to somebody that can use them. Give somebody a fresh start with something functional, and we'll go out and get some new stuff. So we had new washers and dryers delivered last week, and I went to go do my first load of laundry in the new washer, and she goes, "That's too much. That's a too big a load." I'm going, sweetheart, I had been doing laundry for most of my grown up life and never had any kind of issue. But we got in a little spat about it. She was, you're going to mess up this wash. And I go, okay, well, do you want to take the laundry duties? So that was on Friday. Well, we left for the beach on Sunday. So we have not come to what I know is going to happen because there's going to be a Sunday night with a basket full of dirty laundry that she's going to need some of for work the next week. And it ain't going to be done because she's used to me staying on top of it. And we're going to have an issue. What do you think? You think I'm right? Does that go blow up in my face? Because she said she doesn't want me to do the laundry anymore.
What I think is this may be the last on location trip that Greg gets to do. That's what I think. I think come this weekend, this may be the last trip we get to see Greg on. Do I think you're right? And I think you know the answer to this. It does not matter if you're right. It does not matter if you're
Well,
right or not. Because I could say, yes, you're right. You think that's going to help you in any possible way? No.
okay,
It's
okay. So now you're taking this from a logistical, pragmatic approach as into the reality of the game of life we all play. Yes, as a husband, being right carries no weight whatsoever. You can still
no.
lose an argument even if you're 100% right. I just meant man to man as podcast bros. At least tell me I'm right.
Well,
At least let me know I'm right,
and and
even if it never comes out.
and making my manhood even less, it seems. Let me ask you this: is there an agitator, or is it agitator free?
No, there's an agitator. It's old.
There's
I
an
mean,
agitator.
it's some. My wife's boozy. She went and did all the research and bought the high end. These things are supposed to last a lifetime.
Well, you know
I
what I
don't
mean.
remember.
The little things that
Yeah,
stick up
yeah,
in the middle of
yeah,
the agitator. If that's
yeah.
there, then you do have to be limit a little bit of your load. If there's not an agitator, then you can kind of. That's the whole point of it, is you can get it. Now, I think personally, the agitator gets it cleaner in my eyes, so I like the agitator. But if the agitator's not in there, if you don't have an agitator free, I think you can pile it up a little bit more. Now, did you go high dollar? Did you go with the, was it Speed Queen or whatever it's
Yep.
called like that?
Yep.
Oh, you
That's
did
what
spend, boy.
I
Haley
didn't even
does
remember.
make some money, boy.
I didn't even remember the name until you. Yeah, that's what it was. It's a Speed Queen,
Haley, she
and she
did do
won't.
her research, and she
And she
does.
won't
Y'all,
let me use it.
she does make some money, boy. Woo! They proud of them bad boys. Jeez Louise. So we're no longer gonna hear the little LG like
Nope.
no more of that.
Nope, no
Yes.
more of that right in the middle of our shows. But yeah, we got the Speed Queen. Thanks for triggering my memory on that. And she won't let me use it. She says it's too good for me. It's out of
It's
my
too good
class.
for you. Well, listen, if she says you can't use it, then she can't complain when she got dirty drawers on trying to get to the next place, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
we'll see how
you and
that
I
works.
both know that ain't gonna work. You might I hope thankfully I hope she doesn't listen to this because I am gonna take your side on this, but it ain't gonna work. That does you that and a nickel gets you nothing.
I mean, and while we're on the topic, like we should bring this up. Like our fans should be really thrilled with our ability to talk about just about anything. Because I would have never thought we'd have been talking about speed queens and agitators for that length of time on this podcast. But here we are, and that's remarkable.
I never would have thought I'd had to show off the fact that I knew what an agitator was, but I did recently just have to get a new washer. So that is the reason why. We didn't go Speed Queen. We went a little cheaper. We went with I think we got another LG just to kind of match it, but LG was good to us. Those ones we had
That's
lasted
it.
like
Ours have lasted 10 plus years through several different moves, and they're still they're still functional.
I didn't even think nothing of it because I was like, oh, it went bad. Let me go look up. I mean, I feel like it should last longer. And you know how time flies. And they're like, if you got 11, 12 years out of it, you won the lottery. Like that is the mecca of washing machines because most people have gone to 2 or 3 by that point. But I have heard the Speed Queen is the way to go if you want to make it last for a while. But that's
I
not
look
who.
I look forward to using it in about a week and a half when she realizes she's not going to stay on top of the laundry. Love you, baby.
Speaking of gladiators, let's transition. That's a new transition noise where we change subjects.
I like that. Sound like flipping a page.
Glory, glory to old Georgia. This weekend I had baseball and I was glad to be out there watching baseball. I love it. It's fantastic watching my boys. But boy, was it bad timing because 2 of the best college baseball games seem to have taken place almost simultaneously as we were playing baseball. Thankfully, I got a friend on the team who is in the stands, Max, who was keeping me updated. But boy, the Georgia Bulldogs and Mississippi State put on a show this past weekend.
I tell you, and I have long since been a proponent. I've said since I was in college and really started going to a lot of Georgia baseball games. Man, college baseball should have been on TV forever. Like it is such a fun thing to watch. Now, as a purist, and you and I've had that discussion, I could certainly make the argument that we should do away with metal bats altogether, starting at probably high school level. Because, and again, part of it's because what we saw this weekend. Like if you're a pitcher in a college game, unless you're Paul Skeens, like unless you're a top 3 or 4 MLB draft pick, you got almost no shot with these cats in the metal bats these days. Like these are elite level athletes. These are guys who've been hitting baseballs for the entirety of their life. They are darn near professionals at it. And there is almost nowhere in or around the strike zone that you can throw a ball that somebody can't yank it out of the yard with a metal bat.
So many mishits that went into the trees out there. They were saying, feed the trees, and they sure enough did. It was weird. The first game being a away team, when it was our park. I'm like, what the heck? Or maybe it was the second game.
Yeah, second game.
Yeah, second game, yeah. But boy, feed the trees, and they sure enough did. Mississippi State, that first game, I think it was 5 or 6 there towards the end to make Georgia had a heck of a comeback to make things happen. But boy, mishits go in the trees, son.
I've told people that people always tell me I'm crazy, but like first of all, I'm a guy who says I'm already sick of just seeing enough opposite field home runs. Like there's way too many opposite field home runs in general. But like you said, you throw them metal bats in there, and you talking about what comes off the bat looking like a fly ball to right field is going 20, 30 feet over the wall. I don't know, but I'll say this word of advice, and I'm sure any of the Bizarro dogs from Starkville will back me up on this. A little warning to those out in Omaha pitchers, pitching coaches, head coaches, stuff like that. If it's a crucial moment in the game and Daniel Jackson's at the plate, don't pitch to him. Just don't. Like, look, I'm a homer, but I watch that guy almost all year. And this is a catcher putting up stolen base, like just Wes Johnson, the Georgia head coach, has said that Daniel Jackson may be the best athlete he's ever seen playing baseball at this level. It's not a fluke. The numbers are video game numbers. And somewhere in game number 2 this weekend, Mississippi State, they pitched to him in extra innings where
A
literally
crucial spot.
the definition of one swing, one pitch can beat you. And they threw something in and around the strike zone to the best hitter in college baseball, and he promptly deposited it over the fence, and we won. And I beefed on this on my show too. The fact that we had to play a super regional against a team we'd already beaten 4 times in the year, there's got to be a way to reseed and mix some of that up. And again, now we get out to Omaha and we got to play another SEC team that we've already beaten all year long. Look, I get it that when you're in the best conference, you got to get used to seeing those teams over and over again because the cream's going to rise to the top and be there at the end. But there's got to be some sort of way we can reseed the format, balance this thing out, and I think that should be the case in any kind of tournament where there's more than 8 seeds to start it. And I think after each round you should reseed to keep the advantage for the higher seeds, keep home field advantage and things of that nature, but also it'd give you a little bit of wiggle room to try to avoid some bad regional matchups, but also avoid matchups that you've seen all year long.
5, I think it is, SEC schools made it to the College World Series, which kicks off Friday with Troy, I think, which is a small school out of Alabama. I love seeing little schools like that make a run. It's fine. You never heard of Wichita State until they have College World Series time back in the day. So I like seeing Troy in that. But 5 SEC schools, I mean, good grief. And on one side of the bracket, it's all you at least gonna have somebody from the SEC in the College World Series. That I can assure you. Very good chance there's going to be 2 of them. So if you want to put money down, put an SEC school as winning it. Obviously, we're rooting for Georgia, who their first game is Saturday against Texas at 7:00. I am going to be horns down that night, baby. I cannot wait. I'm glued to it. I didn't give college baseball as much as I should have all year. I didn't, and I'm sad that I didn't, but I am now. This is the only time that ESPN Plus to me has not been worth it except for college baseball and a golf round that you can see the early rounds on. But other than that, I ain't really seen it.
I should have been a better friend to you because I picked up on that 3 or 4 years ago. I started noticing a lot of college baseball. And so then I started making sure I could tune into most of the Georgia games. And so I'd say over the last 2 or 3 years, I've probably seen 70% or so of the Georgia baseball games, which, I mean, 10, 12 years ago, I would see maybe 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, man, it has got me reinvigorated. I've already promised, everybody knows how proud I am that Bailey's going to Athens in the fall. I've already got a side deal with her. I told her, like, if the dogs make it to Omaha at any point while she's in school there, we're going.
Nice. I love it. I should run over to Foley Field myself and just watch a game because I know a lot of people
It's
over
a
here
blast,
do it.
dude.
It's not far from here. I mean, heck, it's less than an hour. So I should definitely
Dude, your
go take a
kids,
look.
you talk about your kids not loving baseball very much. Take them to a few Georgia games. If they're in any way picked up from their mama and got a genuine Georgia fan blood in them and not your weak transfer stuff, if they're legit Georgia fans, take them to Foley Field a couple of times, and it might reinvigorate them for a little bit of love of baseball because it is, short of probably minor league baseball where those guys are really just doing it because they love the game. College baseball is about as pure as it is, man. Ain't none of them guys making any NIL money. Ain't none of them guys. Most of them guys ain't even getting their school covered. They're on by half scholarships and paying for the rest of it. Those guys are doing it because they love the game, and you can watch them play. Them guys are still, I mean, they're 19, 20, 21-year-old dudes, but they still just love getting dirty. They just love being out on the field. And it's hard for me at this stage not to watch college baseball and fall in love again just from that element. Even not the gameplay, just seeing the attitude that those guys show up with. It just, I mean, hell, it reminds me of our days back playing softball together. That sort of dugout brotherhood and seeing those smiles and seeing those moments. It's hard to put into words, man. I'm a big college sports fan. We all know that, but college baseball is about as pure as it gets.
It's beautiful seeing it. The games matter. Like, there's been Braves, obviously you get excited, but it's hard to get excited for game 45 when you got 162 total. Like, it's hard to get, but in college baseball, it seems like everyone seemed to be matter. And I appreciate that. And I think you might be right. That may be the actual test where I take them to a game over at Foley Field. And if they don't get into it then I just need to move on because that atmosphere was electric. Just watching it through the screen, just watching it I had to watch it on a phone because, like I said, I was out at the baseball field myself. So that was electric. You could feel it through the damn iPhone. It was crazy.
Well, I believe it was Yogi Berra who's famous for a lot of good quotes that said it ain't over till it's over. That is especially true with metal bats in college baseball. I mean, you could go into the bottom of the ninth, and unless you're up by 7 or 8, I still wouldn't be feeling real comfortable because rallies start all the time. I mean, college baseball is the epitome of it's a walk, it's a wild pitch, it's a bomb, it's a walk, it's a stolen base, it is just. I mean, it's routinely putting up crooked digits on the board. There's routinely innings where a team scores 5, 6 runs at a time. It's fun. If you like offense, college baseball is the thing. And because it's so explosive, it really makes you appreciate when you get a good pitching performance. We've seen a few this year for Georgia, but you go back to, it makes you appreciate what a guy like Paul Skeens did in college to put up the kind of ridiculous numbers he did to have that level of consistency in college. Because I'm telling you, when them metal bats, dude, you make any kind of mistake as a pitcher, and it's points on the board.
There's certain signs that show that you're getting old, and this is one of them. And the fact that I'm like, there's too many home runs. We need more pitching, things like that. Because back in the day, I would have been going crazy over all, be like, more home runs, the better. Please give me the home runs. And even at home, I mean, it's fun watching. But if I'm there, I think I'd want to see bomb after bomb. But when I'm home watching, I'm like, I just want to see some better pitching now. Come on. But so that
Well,
I agree that the bats kind of hurt, help but hurt.
well, and we've talked about it. I mean, it's all sabermetrics and it's all analytics. I mean, there's the purist of me still absolutely hates seeing Kyle Schwarber as a leadoff hitter. But I understand that
And
if you run the
Shohei
math,
and Judge and
yeah,
all them.
if you put it in the algorithm, then the algorithm simply says, hey, the more at bats he gets, the more runs we score as a team. It's hard to argue with the logic, but I'm with you, dude. I still like the old school. Give me a speedy guy batting first. Give me a contact hitter batting second. Give me
Mhm.
the meaty guys at third and fourth, and then let's start over at 5.
Yeah, I agree. But time to transition to a little bit of politics, but we're gonna stay a little bit in sports as well. So we talked about how big of fans we are. We talk about how we're fans of your school, Georgia. We're fans of the Braves and all that. Never once in my life, having gone to a game, several games, have I looked over and saw somebody in an opposing jersey and think, I'm about to knock this dude out. I'm about to try to stab this guy. I'm about to fight this guy. The Knicks, of all places, of course, gonna go come on this high and mighty booing President Trump because, you gotta boo Trump. That's just kinda what you do. So he ended up going to a game, much to everybody's chagrin. Everybody's making a big deal about it, about how, "Oh, all the security, you're putting all these people through too much." First off, the tickets were so outrageous. F these people that pay 8 grand, you gotta wait an extra 30 minutes. You got time. If you got that amount of money to spend on the ticket to sit in damn nosebleeds, ain't nobody crying for you, okay? That's first things first. Stephen A. Smith, shut up, bro. If Obama went to a Bulls game that made it to the finals, you wouldn't have a damn thing to say. But President Trump was there. And when they showed him during the national anthem, when they showed him on the big screen, of course, there was some boos, some cheers, but mostly boos. I get it. I understand. But so you got this high moral, like I'm gonna boo the president because of this and that. Then after the game, your fans are out there fighting people that wearing San Antonio jerseys because you lost. What the hell, Greg?
Now, I do understand that, a lot of times in life, we speak about things before we've been in those situations to know for sure how we would handle it. I don't think anyone who listens to this show for some ridiculous reason would have any questions about how I might have felt during the Obama years or the Biden administration. But I am pretty comfortable saying that had I been attending a major sporting event and one of them had been in attendance, I wouldn't have got up and cheered. I'm not that big of a hypocrite, but I'd have sat silently just out of respect for the office, respect for the position, and respect for going, hey, I am in the same building as the most powerful person in the world. I'm just going to sit here and mind my own business. I'm not going to do it. But look,
Especially doing the national anthem.
yeah, and then the other side of it is like they try to pretend like he's just doing this to get some attention. Dude has been at Knicks games his whole life. The fact, and again, I understand we're talking about the people who elected Moron Zamboni as their mayor, but Donald Trump, in all essence, it should be the epitome of everything New Yorkers should love and be proud of. That guy is New York. He's America. Um, look, and he should be able to go anywhere he wants. I think it was great that he went. From what I have understood, he has been a lifelong Knicks fan.
Yes.
Genuinely will believe he just wanted to be there. Now, look, he's not stupid. He knows what that comes with. He knows the attention it's going to draw. He knows the extra security is all going to be a hassle. But again, like he is the president of the United States, and if his favorite basketball teams makes the finals, he ought to be able to go. I don't have any problem with that. To me, the hypocrisy of it is like you said, had it been the other way around, it wouldn't have been an issue. And then it's just the general like we just the temperature in our nation is just so off right now that there is absolutely no respect for the office from the other side. Like that's I genuinely think had I been invited to the Oval Office to meet Obama or Biden, I probably would have gone. I mean, who would like just for the chance to go to the White House, meet the
I
president,
know.
get your picture taken? Like I would have probably made a comment and told them I think they're shitty and I didn't vote for them. Like I would have owned it, but I would have still got my picture made and had a smile on my face.
I'd have been respectful though. I would have even, if I could meet a president, I think that'd be the big thing. So I would be
Well, some
respectful,
of
but
us believe that being honest and telling the truth is a form of respect.
well, you can say that. You can
I wouldn't
ask
say
your
it
wife
ugly,
about
but,
that.
yeah, no,
Speaking of that, you go ask your wife about. Be honest and and see how respectful she feels about the old washing machine. See how that works out for you. But it was just funny, and he has been a Knicks fan forever, and there's all kind of footage. I just love when they're like, what is he doing? He's just trying to get attention." And then they show all the footage of him at the Knicks game with all the Knicks coming over talking to him and celebrating them and rappers and all that. So, like, get out of here with that mess. But on that note, the Knicks, they still have a chance. They still do it, but I just don't know how you stop Wemby. He is a freak. He is a weird looking, odd shaped guy. I don't know. He's not big, but a lot of the fouls here and there, the pity patty stuff makes a fan of 90s and 80s basketball look lame. But I don't want to root for the Knicks because I don't like their fans who are out there stabbing people or trying to fight people. But I also kind of want them to win because, like you said, it's good for basketball.
I in no part am pulling for the Knicks. No part of me wants to see them be able to celebrate. No part of me wants anything good to happen to the Knicks. On the Wimby note, dude, I'm getting to the point where I think, and it's real early, clearly, but you're going to have to start looking at this guy as going, and kind of like in the Shohei realm on baseball, we might be about to be entering a stretch where we're watching something that's just hard to even explain to people because he looks so lanky and awkward and unathletic, but the dude is so fluid, so smooth the way he moves. And again, he's one of those guys, if you watch an entire game, and you watch him close the entire game, you will see a couple things that you just can't figure out how a human being can do.
Yeah. I don't know how you shoot over him. I don't know how you stop a shot. I mean, Kareem should be out there working with the sky hook on him. And I mean, how do you stop that? You couldn't stop it with Kareem, and you're talking about adding a few more inches.
Well, I saw a highlight from one of the earlier games where I don't know if he got it off a rebound, but he's 4 or 5 feet away from the basket and just goes up and reaches over probably a 6'11", 7-footer and just dunks it from 4 or 5 feet away. And the other
And
guy's walking down the court
he,
going, what do I do?
he only jumped like that high, too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He ain't even got to
Like,
jump.
it's like he could do it from so far away that the other guy's sitting there going like, I've got it. Like he can't get up and dunk because I got him 6 feet from the basket. And Wimby still does it. Like I don't
Now,
know, man.
it's effective, but it's not as pretty when you see a guy that tall dunk. You're like me dunking on the Nerf thing we got up here. It's not as cool. It's better when you see a young guy, not a young guy, a smaller guy come up, and I say smaller, 6'6" is even considered small, jump up and dunk. But when you see a guy that tall just basically reach over and dunk, it's just not as exciting. But it's effective because it's 2 points. I hope with his build, he either has to put some size on or something because you just hate to say it, but an injury away from making things really bad. And it looks like you could take out his legs at any moment. Thank goodness we don't have a Dennis Rodman type that would be in there now, or a Rick Mahorn.
It does, but he for his size and for his physique, the way he looks aesthetically, man, he just moves so much better than anybody at that size ever has. He has a unique ability from body control, I think, to hopefully avoid some of those fluky injuries. Now, like you said, at some point he may just get to be such a problem that somebody may take him out. I said, man, I didn't watch much of him early in his career, but as they've progressed through the playoffs this year, I've been tuning in a little bit more. I'm impressed. Truthfully, I like the Spurs team, man. That's a good squad. I'm certainly pulling for them to beat the Knicks just 'cause I don't like the Knicks. But Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Stephen Castleman, there's some dudes that can play.
I don't like seeing I feel like every year the Spurs are damn near in the thing and almost winning it. So I like to see somebody different. And the Knicks ain't won a championship in hell, I don't know, 78, 73, something like that. Some long time ago. Not that I recall. They should have won a bunch back then. Of
Well,
course, I
David,
hated the Knicks
that's because they
because,
do things right in Texas and they do things screwy in New York.
well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that. Yeah. They it's because they ran up against Jordan a lot of times and the Heat back in the day. But it, it's interesting. I can't find myself sitting there watching NBA basketball anymore, but I watch the highlights.
The flopping and some like it has just gotten to where it's hard because you can't not respect the talent and ability these guys have because it is, I mean, their athletic ability, their touch, their talent is otherworldly, but the officials have just become far too big a part of the game. And I mean, some of this stuff back with, some of the fouls SGA would draw and some of this stuff, you go, man, you can't even play basketball like this. And you see defenders, they'll make a quick gesture like I didn't even touch him, and then they just have to accept it because you just know it's part of the game now. I don't know.
Oh,
They're going to have to work on cleaning that up.
Led by LeBron and his weakness. Great player, but boy, some of those ones where he throws his hands up just drives me crazy. But I really just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of them being all high and mighty and booing Trump. Then meanwhile, they're out there fighting people in the stands. Can't even go to a damn game. Speaking of hypocrisy, Greg, you have a tattoo. I don't have a tattoo.
I got
but
3.
You got 3 tattoos. Okay. Let's just say I got a tattoo. And in your case, I'm pretty sure you knew before you put that tattoo on your body exactly what it meant. And if I was to go get a tattoo, I promise you it's going to be something I research, knowing that it's on there forever. And I'm going to make sure there's nothing about it that I don't know about.
Well, I will give some grace. I know where this is going. I do understand that a lot of tattoo decisions are made in a less than coherent state for some people. In fact, because I understood the severity and the permanence of said decision, I didn't get my first one until I was 30. I've got 3. I've got a University of Georgia tattoo. I've got mine and Haley's anniversary date tattooed, and I got my daughter's initials both tattooed with the infinity sign. Those are 3 things that I am pretty darn sure will never get me in trouble and will never be something I regret having on my body. But yeah, the whole Graham Plattner thing, the fact that the Democratic Party is just so willing to find a candidate and go, hey, we just will put our head down and plow this guy through, regardless of who he is or what he's done. Man, again, this is the same party that made up all kind of shit and threw Brett Kavanaugh under the bus trying to keep him off the Supreme Court. But you got this guy with a legitimate Nazi tattoo on his chest, a repeated history of domestic issues with girls in the past. And frankly, if you just listen to the guy talk, he absolutely sounds like he drives around in a white van with no windows and you wouldn't want your kids anywhere near.
Well, says he was an oyster farmer, and that turns out to not even be true, too, and they still pushing on it. But we talked about Herschel Walker being a bad candidate. They just threw out there, and that didn't work in our favor. And I hope that same situation works here. But if he was coming out and saying, look, I got the tattoo. I knew what it was. I'm a changed person. I've changed. I'm different. I would almost respect that. Like, okay, listen, everybody has a right to change and all that. No, he's simply denying the fact that he didn't even know what it was. After all these years and even all that, you want to tell us that you didn't know what it was and you finally got it covered up? Get out of here. You knew exactly what it was when you got it.
Well, I mean, all right, look, you could take this a number of different directions. One, as somebody who has made a veritable life out of just making up excuses for coming up short or making bad decisions, it wouldn't be hard if the story is that he got it right before joining the military. Clearly, he was young, probably drunk with some friends. It wouldn't be hard to almost even just spin the story. Go, hey, look, you know what? It was stupid. I almost did it as a dare. They told me I wouldn't, but I clearly at 19 or 20 years old, I had no idea I'd be in this position in life. It was a stupid decision as a kid. I didn't even think about anything like this. Obviously, I would never get a Nazi tattoo seriously, but it was a joke, and I just need to get it covered up or removed. Which brings us to point 2 and 3. You can get those things covered up or removed. Like it should not be. This should not be something where he is still having to defend having it.
No, well, he did get it covered
Did
up.
he get it? All right. I hadn't seen it. I just keep hearing about
it. He
it.
did get it covered up not that long ago. I don't know the exact timetable. But my point is the fact that you're just still claiming that you didn't know what it meant. There's no possible way. Somebody had to have pointed it out. Or when it came about, you're like, well, I didn't know what it meant. So as soon as I found out, I got it covered up. But I don't even think he got it covered up till well after he knew what it was. If you came up to me and said,
Till he
He was
decided he was going to run for office.
Yes, that's more or less of the case. So, but he does have issues. He apparently was locking people in his house and wouldn't let them leave. And they're like, well, at least he didn't abuse them, though. I'm like, well, that's kind of a point of abuse. I mean, I'm just saying, not the greatest guy, but we did set the bar pretty low with Trump on his philandering ways. So the fact that he's out there sexting with other women, can't even hardly get mad at him because, like, hey, we got guys doing the same or worse. Not a
Well,
good look, but
and frankly, like I said, I don't want to be a total hypocrite. Like it's easy to poke at the Democrats for supporting this guy and just, trying to ignore all this stuff, put their head down just so they can win an extra seat in the Senate. But truth be told, if he was on our side and had a good policy record or like was operating in a manner that I agreed with, I can look over some stupid things in the past. I can look. Not all relationships work, and some of them are really hard. Like I get that you can have some beef with some people in your past.
yeah.
I can get past all that. But it's the fact that, and again, so I'm speaking out of both my, it's the side that you've got all this cover up on top of the fact that I know what he wants to do when he gets into office, that you're just going, we just can't let this guy. I cannot believe I am vouching for and supporting Susan Collins, but we need Susan Collins to win.
Man, boy, I tell you, it's just you look at some of the races. They were like the guy had like 1,200 votes and he won. You're like, my God, how small is Maine?
Well,
Apparently, it's pretty
she is
Maine.
without a doubt one of the weakest Republicans in name only, but it's like you said, it's Maine. That is the
Rhino.
epitome of that's a purple state if there is one. You got to win elections to do anything, so that is part of the game. But in this case, she's definitely a much better option than the counterpart.
Yeah, but speaking of hypocrisy, I told you I watch the Abby Phillips show a lot, and I watch it every night. And Anna Navarro and this Charles Blow, who's I can't stand, basically Charles Blow for sure, but Anna Navarro's. They get on there and they talk about how Trump. Anytime somebody mentions, well, the previous administration, they're like, oh, well, of course, you all like Biden, Biden, Biden. Can we get over Biden? They're going on and on about all you do is mention Biden or this and that. You acting like for 4 years that Biden was in office, only thing we heard from anybody was Trump, Trump, Trump. We didn't hear anything else. We didn't hear about what he was doing. It was just Trump, Trump, Trump. So get out of here with that mess. It's just the hypocrisy is running amok in the fact that we can't bring up anything in the past. The whole situation came about the Kristen Welker that interview. I'm sure you've seen and all that, and I have issues with that. But they were talking about how well at least he talked to her. Biden didn't speak to anybody, or if he did, it was set up and the questions were predetermined and the answers were predetermined. And like, oh, here we go, Biden, Biden, Biden. Yes, I'm sorry. We got to bring up the fact you may not like what he says, you may not like how he says it, but damn it, he goes out and answers a lot of questions with the people that aren't on his side.
Well, and I think, look, if I'm being honest, what the ending of that interview, David, and I can't speak for anybody other than myself, but Lord knows I try. The ending of that interview, I think, pretty much expressed and summed up how we all feel at this point with the mainstream media and with all the bullshit from the left. Because at some point, you just keep going, hey, look, we're trying to have dialogue. We're trying to find some way to move forward conversationally towards something positive. And these people won't do it. They will not operate in reality. They will not admit things that are true. And therefore, you just give up. Look, this is the microcosm of Donald Trump as a president. It's a perfect example where you would hope that the president of the United States of America could have exited that situation a little more gracefully, a little more classically,
Yeah.
and been a little more presidential, as they would say. But the core of what he said and what he was thinking and what he was trying to communicate in that moment, I 100% agree with, support, because I feel the same way anytime I'm talking to somebody from the other side. Like it's just, there have been so many times where you have pointed out something, go, no, but this happened. And they go, no, that's not true. And you go, no, we saw it with our own eyes. That is the truth. And at some point, there are very few things that frustrate me more than difficult communication. Like when somebody just makes communication hard, and it's virtually impossible to communicate with people on the left because they just live in a different reality. Like we're not even seeing the same things right in front of our eyes when we're looking in the same direction. And that's just hard to move forward with.
Well, they conveniently edit some of these bad boys, of course, you understand. But the only thing we see is Trump storms off. Okay. Trump
And then
storms off.
they
And
didn't mention that he sat through a rainstorm with them, that he sat there for over an hour waiting it out, trying to help them. Like he was trying to give them what they wanted, but you'll never hear that side of the story on their side.
They don't hear the fact that they were talking for an hour at least, or 45 minutes to an hour, and he waited for it to go through. We're talking about the most powerful man on earth, and he's giving you an hour plus, and you're upset because he stopped the interview. If it was the other way around, I guarantee you it'd be edited. You wouldn't see Biden get up and get upset and say, "I'm leaving. I've been here for an hour." Nope, they'll just cut that part out and just have him end the interview as a normal thing. I don't like it either way he gets up and does things, but the hypocrisy is just unreal because they did edit that, and Abby Phillips was particularly about it. Edited out the part that they talked for 45 minutes. They didn't even bring it up that he talked that long. They just said, "Stormed out. Don't you owe the press a right to be interviewed?" Yes, he do, and he did more than any other president before, it seems. So
Well,
it's
two
ridiculous.
things. He said, and because of when it happened and how it happened in the tone of that interview wrapping up, he said what I think may have been the most important comment he's made during either of his terms as presidency. And it probably gets glossed over, but he simply said, he goes, "We cannot have a successful nation if we don't have a trustworthy media, or if the media doesn't tell it." And that's 100% true. And then you go back to the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. The right to press is based on the fact that the press has the right to report the truth. You can't call yourself a media outlet and not be held to some sort of standards for telling it. Like, the intentional spreading of misinformation on both sides, but prominently on the left, is causing the entire nation to fall apart. And I think he nailed it right there. If the media isn't telling the truth, we have no chance of turning this around and finding success.
You think for 1 second that Biden gave no one an hour of interviews untethered. Like, he had to know what you was gonna ask, he had to know his answer before that. He gave no one as that. The meet the press is not exactly on President Trump's side. You think Biden woulda gave Fox News, Peter Doocy, an hour of questioning without limits and just answering everything? Hell
You mean
no.
you mean the guy who on multiple occasions read the non-read cues on the
Yes.
teleprompter?
Turn the page. Turn the page. End
Ask this
sentence.
person questions.
Yes. Like, and he didn't even try to hide it. He would hold it up and be like, so and so in LA Times, you're next. Like, Trump just goes, points to whoever. That's almost like I've never seen somebody want the kind of pushback or kind of the boo. Like, he almost feeds off the boos and the
Well,
pushback.
I know the kickback I'll get from this because of being, MAGA and being a supporter, and this will just be a homer take. The more and more this goes on, the more I think he's doing that stuff even intentionally, just to bring out the fact of just how much they're lying, how bad everything is. I think, I don't know, man. There's a lot of ways where I was hesitant in the first term, and even hesitant when he got elected, for people saying, "Look, this is going to be a different thing." But more and more, and I know it's cliche, I really am starting to kind of go, man, I do think this guy is kind of playing 4D underwater chess and doing things that so many normal people aren't even aware of. As he is setting things in motion, he is laying foundation, he is putting things out there that may not have instant success, but they are shining a light on things that can lead us to success, because you've got to know the truth to be successful. And I think that's a lot of what he's trying to do. And it's weird from somebody who is known as a habitual liar, known as a dirtbag, like just as a person. I think he is the most honest and genuine president we have ever had. And I said, the longer his term goes on, the more support I'm gaining, because the more I'm starting to see, when the entire world is against you the way it seems like they are, that's probably because you're on the right side.
Yeah. And we'll leave it at this because next episode we'll have to get into the old LA mayoral race, all the craziness is going on with Spencer Pratt being in third place now and not making the runoff. Ironically, the chick who got almost no votes. Apparently, everybody that mail-in voted for her. But I'll leave it at this. One thing Trump is, like we said, equal opportunity. Uh, Charles Blow, who's a dick. I can't stand that guy on Abby Phillips. He's not even entertaining. It's one thing to be, he's just a blowhard that says fake shit all the time. But anyways, he came out, was going on and on about, oh, look at him talking down to Kristen Welker. He belittles women while he's on the show talking down to any conservative woman that you could find. That's his go-to thing, is to try to belittle any conservative woman and their point. But Trump does it. You got to give him credit. Man, woman, black, white, green, purple. He'll try to talk the same way to every single person. He does not if you're against him, he talks down to you. He tries to get his point across. The fact that she was a woman has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that she was against anything he says and came at him. You can't call him that. That's just ridiculous. And Charles Blow, you're a fake hypocrite. I can't stand you. Get him off the show, Abby.
And here's the thing, and look, I feel like a broken record because it comes back to, do I like the sound of my president calling somebody stupid?
No.
No, not, I mean, and again, it's rude, it is demeaning, and I get all that. But here's where I'm torn because I can make the argument, like I know what people think, but more often than not, I try to be polite, I try to be respectful, I try to navigate the world in a manner that, and this sounds very grandiose, but when I put my head on a pillow at night, I like to think that anybody that crossed my path that day had a little bit better part of a day because I was in it. Like I like to be that kind of guy. I like to make people smile. I like to make people happy. I like to do good things. So I would never want to be rude or offensive just for the sake of doing it. But the further this goes, again, I do have a healthy respect for the truth. And in this case, I don't think this is stupid. Like they are behaving in a stupid manner. And part of me thinks, you know what? I don't think he's just being insulting for the sake of being insulting. I think he's just fed up and just trying to point out the black and white, cold, hard facts of the situation. And we live in a society where, unfortunately, when you try to tiptoe around things and you dance around it and you try to be politically correct, people don't seem to get the message. So I think and again, Trump was never real good at quote unquote playing the game and saying the right thing. But I think a lot of this, again, I think he's doing what he feels is necessary to highlight the things that need to be brought out into evidence for people to see it. Because without him behaving the way he behaves, we wouldn't see a lot of what we see from the left. And I think a lot of the behavior, and again, I say all the time that I think they try to trigger us into reaction on certain things, and I absolutely believe that. I think he's guilty of that. I think a lot of his stuff is to try to trigger a response. But previously, I thought it's just because he was that kind of guy that just enjoyed getting that response. But more and more, I'm starting to give him credit and think, you know what? He's trying to get that response so more people on our side can see that and understand what we are really dealing with.
I think you're right in that. He's maybe playing 4D chess. I don't know, but he does highlight, before he started coming out in 16, you trusted every news outlet, did you not?
Mhm.
And he was like, fake news, fake news. You're like, oh, come on, man, don't be that way. Well, come to find out, there's a lot of fake news out there and a lot of definitely biases that can edit things certain ways, much like I pointed out the fact that Abby Phillips left out the part that he gave him like an hour. He just said he refused to talk to the media and he left, even though he spoke for an hour. So that's kind of what he's going on. But that's it. Episode 39 in the books. We won't go harp too long. We try to keep these things under an hour now. But next time we will have to get into the Spencer Pratt mayoral race out there and in the old crazy left that is California, the wildness, and maybe get a little more college baseball. But Greg, go out and enjoy the rest of your vacation. I say vacation, work vacation, and get a little sun. Give us another beliefs, ballots, and Bulldogs. I'm sure you got a lot to talk about when it comes to the baseball. But Greg, as always,
I got a bitch for a second. My family's creating. I hadn't been able to release my podcast all week. These people are making me like take them to breakfast and like be a dad and stuff. I don't know what's going on. Maddie's down here with us. It's not just me. It's not just me and Haley. Maddie and a friend came down too. So I'm getting up early in the morning to knock out a couple hours of work, and then I'm actually having to be like a full vacation dad. And Haley's at work, so I'm doing it solo. So man, it ain't all just, well, yeah, it is. It's just sitting on the beach hanging out with my cool 14-year-old daughter.
Going to the donut hole. Did you go to the donut hole? Is that where you went?
Yeah, it's on the list. That's a regular. We gotta go to the donut hole at least once when you're in anywhere down here in the Panhandle. Donut hole is a shout out. Can we get a sponsorship?
I know, right? We need it. They done raise the
tag
prices.
them when we release this episode on Twitter. Tag Donut Hole. See if we can get a sponsorship.
Jeez, as always, Greg, leave us with a good word.
Guys, it is more important than ever and I don't just say this to be cliche and put a positive spin on things. We talk about some heavy stuff because it's a heavy world we're living in, and y'all know me, and I ain't gonna push my faith on anybody, but I believe it works, and I believe it is probably the only answer that's going to turn this world around for us in the direction we want it to go. So, as always, guys, we love y'all. Like, share, subscribe. Try to get us a sponsorship from Donut Hole, but more important than any of that, get in your Bible, say your prayers, love each other, and tell the damn truth. God bless.
Till next time. Peace.